Before we begin, if you're listening to this alone at night, you're exactly where you should be. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more true horror stories, disturbing encounters, and unexplained events uploaded every day. Now lock your doors, turn off the lights, and let's get into tonight's stories. Every warehouse has blind spots, long rows of shelves, towering pallets, forklifts, shipping containers. You expect to get turned around once in a while, especially in a building the size of 5 football fields. So when I accidentally walked into aisle 14, I assumed I'd simply taken a wrong turn. The problem was, according to every map in the building, aisle 14 didn't exist. The warehouse jumped from aisle 13, straight to aisle 15, and after checking the security footage, I realized something even worse. I hadn't walked into aisle 14. I'd disappeared from every camera in the warehouse for nearly 19 minutes. This happened during the winter of 2024. At the time, I worked the overnight shift at a regional distribution warehouse outside Indianapolis, Indiana. The facility supplied retail stores across 3 states. Millions of products moved through the building every month. The warehouse operated 24 hours a day. Night shift was quieter, mostly inventory counts, restocking, preparing morning shipments. Simple work. The warehouse itself was enormous. Nearly 1 million square feet, 40-foot shelving, hundreds of forklifts, rows numbered from 1 through 63. Everything organized, everything documented. Getting lost shouldn't have been possible. Then came my 4th week. Around 2:20 a.m., my supervisor radioed me. A pallet had been misplaced somewhere near aisle 13. I grabbed the scanner, started walking. Aisle 10. Then, without thinking, I turned left. The aisle marker above me clearly read. Nothing about it seemed unusual. Tall shelves, cardboard boxes, shrink-wrapped pallets, exactly like every other aisle. Still, something immediately felt wrong. The warehouse suddenly became silent. No forklifts, no radios, no machinery. Only my own footsteps. My stomach tightened, because the warehouse never became that quiet. Ever. I continued walking. The aisle seemed unusually long, much longer than the others. Eventually I reached the far end. Only, there wasn't an exit, just another endless row of shelves. The realization genuinely unsettled me. I turned around. The entrance had disappeared. My blood immediately ran cold. Behind me stretched another identical aisle. Shelves. Boxes, fluorescent lights, no opening, no crosswalk, nothing. I checked my handheld scanner, no signal. My radio produced only static. The fear became immediate. I started walking faster, then jogging. Still no end. The shelving numbers stopped making sense. Bin locations repeated, product labels duplicated. The exact same damaged pallet appeared 3 different times. The realization genuinely terrified me. Then I heard a forklift. Somewhere ahead, the backup alarm echoed faintly. Relief flooded over me. I hurried toward the sound. As I rounded another corner, the warehouse suddenly returned. Noise, machinery, voices, everything. I stood beside aisle 15, completely out of breath. My supervisor immediately approached. He looked angry, then confused. He asked where I'd been. I laughed, told him I'd gotten turned around. His expression didn't change. He held up his watch. I'd been gone 19 minutes. My stomach immediately tightened, because I'd only been walking for what felt like 3 or 4. Still, time passes differently when you're lost. Reasonable explanation, at least initially. The following morning, security reviewed the footage. Every camera covering aisles 12 through 16. My blood immediately turned to ice, because I never entered aisle 14. The recording showed me walking into aisle 13. Then, simply disappearing. One frame I was there. The next frame, the aisle stood empty. 19 minutes later, I walked out of aisle 15. Alone. No hidden exits. No blind spots. Nothing. The realization genuinely unsettled everyone. Maintenance checked the camera system. Everything worked perfectly. No missing recordings. No corrupted files. Nothing. The investigation eventually faded. Mostly. Then one evening, an older forklift operator overheard us discussing it. He quietly asked, "Was it aisle 14?" My blood immediately ran cold. I hadn't mentioned the aisle number. Not once. He explained that years earlier, before the warehouse expanded, there really had been an aisle 14. During renovations, the numbering changed. The aisle was removed completely, or so everyone believed. According to him, 3 employees had reported getting lost there decades earlier. All described the same silence, the same endless shelves, the same missing time. Nobody ever included those reports in official records. Months later, the company renovated the warehouse again, while removing old shelving near aisle 13. Construction crews uncovered faded floor markings, almost completely worn away. One painted number remained barely visible beneath the concrete sealant, exactly where I remembered entering. The crew covered it with fresh flooring. No one mentioned it again. I transferred to day shift shortly afterward, not because I believed anything supernatural had happened, but because every time I walked past aisle 13, I caught myself counting, just to make sure. The next aisle really was 15. The scanner assigned me a partner I'd never met. That wasn't unusual. Large warehouses hired temporary workers every week. People came and went constantly. I assumed employee 5487 was just another new hire. The scanner displayed his name beside mine. Our assignments matched. Our inventory zones overlapped. Everything looked normal. The problem was, no one on the night shift had ever seen him. Payroll had no record of him. Human resources insisted he'd never worked there. Yet every morning, the inventory reports showed thousands of items scanned under his employee ID. And according to the security system, someone was walking beside me for almost my entire shift, even though every camera showed I was completely alone. This happened during the fall of 2023. At the time, I worked as an inventory supervisor at a regional distribution warehouse outside Louisville, Kentucky. The building supplied merchandise to dozens of department stores across the Midwest. Night shift handled inventory counts while shipping slowed down. My job was simple: count inventory, correct discrepancies, update warehouse records. Every employee carried a handheld barcode scanner. The scanners assigned work automatically. Each assignment displayed your employee number and your assigned partner, usually someone working the same section. One Monday evening, my scanner paired me with employee 5487. Name: David H. Nothing unusual. I assumed he was new. The warehouse hired temporary workers constantly. I grabbed my scanner, started counting inventory. About 30 minutes later, I noticed something strange. Every time I reached a shelf, the scanner already displayed half the items as completed. Someone else had apparently counted them moments earlier. My stomach tightened slightly, because I hadn't seen another employee all night. Still, maybe David worked the opposite end of the aisle. Reasonable explanation, at least initially. The pattern continued. Every aisle, every pallet, half the work finished before I arrived. Eventually curiosity got the better of me. I radioed dispatch, asked where David was working. Several seconds passed. Then dispatch replied, "Who's David?" I repeated the employee number. Silence. Then, "We don't have an employee 5487 tonight." My blood immediately ran cold. I checked the scanner again. The assignment remained. Employee 5487. David H. Still listed as my partner. The realization genuinely unsettled me. The following morning, I visited Human Resources, asked about David. The HR manager searched payroll. Nothing. No current employee. No former employee. No contractor. No temporary worker. Nothing. The employee number didn't exist. I assumed the scanner database had glitched. Reasonable enough. The IT department reset my device. Installed updates. Replaced the battery. Everything. The next night, the scanner assigned me the same partner. Employee 5487. David H. Exactly as before. The fear slowly started replacing curiosity. For the next week, the same thing happened. Every shift, half my inventory completed before I reached it. Every report listed David's employee ID beside mine. Yet no one ever saw him. Eventually my supervisor reviewed the completed inventory logs. Thousands of barcode scans. Perfectly accurate. Every item existed exactly where David claimed. Someone, or something, had scanned them. The realization genuinely frightened everyone. Corporate IT became involved. They examined the warehouse server. No software bugs. No unauthorized access. Nothing. The employee ID somehow existed only during overnight inventory assignments. Never during the day. Never in peril. Never anywhere else. Then security reviewed surveillance footage. My blood immediately turned to ice. Every camera showed me working alone. Completely alone. Yet something strange appeared. Throughout the recordings, I repeatedly turned toward empty space. Nodded. Paused. Almost as if listening to someone standing beside me. I couldn't remember doing that. Not once. The realization genuinely terrified me. Still, fatigue affects memory. Night shifts are exhausting. Reasonable explanation. At least initially. Then one Thursday, my scanner froze. The screen displayed only one message. Wait for your partner. Nothing else. No buttons responded. No menus opened. The message remained for almost 30 seconds. Then disappeared. The scanner resumed working normally. My hands started shaking. Because I hadn't told anyone about the earlier assignments. Not IT. Not management. Nobody. Police weren't contacted. No crime had occurred. Still, corporate sent another technician. He replaced every scanner assigned to overnight inventory. Brand new devices. Fresh software. Fresh employee database. The following Monday, my new scanner activated. First assignment appeared. Employee. My name. Partner. Employee 5487. David H. Exactly the same. The technician stared silently at the screen. Then quietly whispered, "That's impossible." The realization genuinely unsettled everyone present. Corporate suspended overnight inventory for 3 days. Every scanner remained locked inside the IT office. No employees used them. When technicians reviewed the server afterward, new inventory records had somehow appeared anyway. Nearly 4,000 barcode scans, all completed under employee 5487. Despite every scanner remaining powered off, the investigation became far more serious. Digital forensic specialists copied every system log. One analyst eventually discovered something unusual. Employee 5487 had existed once. Nearly 18 years earlier. His name really had been David. He'd worked inventory, only briefly. According to old incident reports, he disappeared during an overnight stock count. No resignation. No termination. Simply, missing. The employee number had supposedly been permanently retired. Months later, the warehouse expanded. Construction crews removed several old shelving sections. Behind one wall they discovered a forgotten storage office sealed during renovations years earlier. Inside sat dusty filing cabinets, old clipboards, inventory reports, everything abandoned. One clipboard still rested on the desk. The final inventory sheet remained attached. Employee, David H. Employee number 5487. The final handwritten note read, "I'm still missing one partner." No one ever figured out what he meant. I transferred to another facility soon afterward. Not because I believed ghost stories, but because every night before leaving, I found myself looking over my shoulder, expecting someone else to be walking beside me. Every truck that leaves a warehouse leaves a trail, a dispatch log, a driver's signature, a security gate record, a GPS route, a bill of lading. You can trace every shipment from the loading dock to its destination. At least, you're supposed to. I discovered one truck that broke every rule. Every morning, the dispatch report showed it had left the building. Every GPS record claimed it had driven hundreds of miles. Every delivery manifest showed the freight had arrived. The problem was, the truck never actually left the loading dock. And after reviewing 6 months of security footage, I realized something even stranger. Nobody had ever climbed into the cab. This happened in early 2024. At the time, I worked as the overnight shipping coordinator for a massive warehouse outside Memphis, Tennessee. The facility operated around the clock, moving consumer electronics across the southern United States. Night shift handled outbound freight. Everything depended on accurate paperwork. One mistake could delay thousands of deliveries. My responsibilities were straightforward. Verify trailers, check driver paperwork, confirm departures, update dispatch. Every truck received a departure time, a gate scan, and GPS activation before leaving. The system had worked flawlessly for years, until I noticed truck 4827. The number appeared on my morning report. Departure, 2:18 a.m. Destination, Dallas Distribution Center. Everything looked routine, except I remembered seeing that trailer parked in Dock 19 when I finished my shift. My stomach tightened, because I had walked right past it. I clearly remembered thinking the driver was running late. Still, memory isn't perfect. Reasonable explanation, at least initially. The following night, truck 4827 appeared again. Different destination, same trailer number, same departure time, 2:18 a.m. Exactly. Again, I finished work. Again, the trailer still sat in Dock 19. The realization genuinely unsettled me. The next morning I checked the security cameras. At 2:18 a.m., the loading dock camera showed the truck, parked, completely motionless. No driver, no movement, nothing. Then I switched to the exit gate camera. At exactly 2:18, truck 4827 drove through the front gate. My blood immediately ran cold, because it couldn't have been both places. The timestamps matched perfectly. No editing, no missing footage, just two completely different recordings. The realization genuinely frightened me. I reported everything to my supervisor. He blamed a camera synchronization issue. Corporate replaced the recording server, updated every camera, everything. The following night, the exact same thing happened. Dock camera, truck still parked. Gate camera, truck leaving. Exactly 2:18. Again, corporate IT became involved. GPS records were reviewed. Truck 4827 appeared to travel normally. Interstate highways, fuel stops, delivery confirmation, everything. Drivers at the Dallas warehouse even signed paperwork confirming arrival. Yet one problem remained. The truck sitting in Dock 19 never moved. Not once. The realization genuinely confused everyone. I decided to inspect the trailer myself. The seal remained intact. Door locked. No signs of tampering. With management present, we broke the security seal, rolled open the trailer. Empty. Completely empty. No freight. No pallets. Nothing. The paperwork claimed the trailer carried nearly 20,000 pounds of electronics. Instead, bare metal walls, concrete dust, silence. My stomach immediately tightened. The investigation expanded. Maintenance examined Dock 19. Everything appeared normal, until engineers compared the warehouse blueprints with laser measurements. Something didn't match. Behind Dock 19, almost 40 feet of building space remained unaccounted for. My blood immediately ran cold. Construction crews removed a section of interior wall. Behind it, another loading dock appeared, hidden, completely enclosed. Older lighting, older equipment, everything covered in dust, except the tire marks. Fresh tire marks. The realization genuinely terrified me. Someone had recently driven through the hidden dock. Very recently. Police searched the area. The concealed dock connected to an abandoned freight tunnel beneath the warehouse. Originally built during construction decades earlier. Supposedly sealed before the warehouse opened. Clearly, it hadn't been. The tunnel stretched nearly half a mile, eventually connecting to another abandoned industrial building. Inside, investigators discovered shipping labels, forklifts, pallet jacks, even portable office equipment. Someone had recreated part of the warehouse underground. No suspects were found. No fingerprints matched anyone. Nothing. The hidden dock was permanently sealed. Concrete poured. Steel barriers installed. Everything. Life slowly returned to normal. Mostly. Then 6 months later, I transferred to another warehouse. One afternoon, while reviewing old dispatch archives for unrelated paperwork, I searched truck 4827 one final time. The vehicle identification number no longer existed. Not retired. Deleted. Almost as if it had never belonged to the company. Curious. I contacted fleet management. They searched every database. No truck 4827 had ever been purchased. Ever. No registration. No maintenance history. No insurance. Nothing. Yet I still possessed printed dispatch reports, GPS records, driver signatures, delivery receipts, thousands of pages proving it existed. Fleet management asked me to send copies. When I opened the storage box containing those documents, My blood immediately turned to ice. Every page referencing truck 4827 had disappeared. Only blank separators remained. The folders still carried the labels. The paperwork itself was gone. Months later, one of the detectives who investigated the hidden dock called me. Demolition crews had finally removed the last section of the abandoned freight tunnel. Behind one collapsed wall, they discovered an old dispatch office. Inside sat dozens of faded shipping logs. One clipboard remained open on the desk. The final completed shipment listed only 4 words under destination. Not a city, not a warehouse. Simply, Dock 19, return empty. There was no customer name, no address, no driver signature, only a departure time, 2:18 a.m. Exactly, the same time I'd watched that impossible truck leave every single night. I still work in logistics. I still check dispatch reports every morning. But whenever I see a truck number that doesn't look familiar, I don't assume it's a typo anymore. Because somewhere, in a warehouse I hope never to see again, there may still be one loading dock, waiting for a truck that officially never existed.